law, but they don't supply us a client list. So I don't exactly know who is up there.
So what's a good first step to, I would to,
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
They answered these questions, and then I was asking them, because I went up and said, well, you know, some of these buildings maybe the town could really use, you know, for whatever reason. And the biggest problem up there, and that's why I guarantee you the state's gonna walk away like they did Rutland, and I think it's Belchertown. The state law states, the mass, the DEP states you can't have more than 10,000 gallons per day of effluent of sewage on a site without a treatment facility. They're closing their treatment facility. Therefore, by putting those residential houses up there, they've maxed out the capacity of 2,000 acres by putting in 6 houses, therefore rendering the rest of the land useless for any type of development. They put septic systems in for the barn, and they put septic systems in for those houses, and they're pretty much maxed out on their DEP cap. You can't do anything up there. So what good are those buildings with no septic? Absolutely nothing. We'll be looking at them 30 years from now.
Yes, Chief.
The other thing to think about is that most of those buildings are on one heating plant.
Right.
They're shutting the whole place down.
Right, but they've not decided what they're gonna do with it, and the date that they're gonna close it keeps getting pushed back through hearsay. I was at a meeting up there 2 weeks ago with an architect who invited me up there because they're closing the back of Waite Lodge and they're gonna be just taking it down. If you're familiar with that, that's the white building on the right. The back has no electricity and everything else. So tearing it down, in my mind, was a good idea because it limits the exposure. The wood building.
Yeah.
But the brick building, there's no conversations about it. And the water supply up there was in question. I brought the water department with me, and we discussed with them the concern over the water for fire safety. The water at the street down your end is 45 pounds. At the top of the hill, it's 35 pounds static pressure, which is probably why they don't want to take it at the water department. There's a serious concern about fire protection because the pump station that gets engaged in the event of a fire was always manned by the plumber that worked for the state. And I asked, well, what's the means of contacting him if this closes? And the answer that came back to me is, I don't know. And currently, he lives in Leominster and gets a phone call and drives up and throws the switch, which isn't going to protect the land down over the hill because everything on the far side of Freight Shed going down to some of the other lodges, the one that's down at the very bottom there, won't be protected off of that line. So they'll be looking at alternate means of water supply. And I think the point is, not so much in the detail, the point is that there's no details.
Right.
We don't know what's going on up there.
I think to answer Diane's question, maybe a good first step would be a vote from the board to sign a letter and to send it up to several people that, I don't want to say demanding, but basically starting the process of demanding information, saying that this is happening. You know, we have concerns about budgeting for safety, for our public safety concerns as this transfers over, for public utilities, for highway issues, and maybe start the ball rolling. So then and I'm assuming we probably won't get answers, but at least then we start the process of moving it forward. So we're starting to build a foundation for raising it up higher and higher within the state.
I think in a letter is one thing. I think I heard Julie say like a task force, a selectman, a chief, like some of the emergency, like some department, even if it's 6 people, one person from us, you know, what are your concerns? What are your concerns? What are our concerns? What should we address? What should emergency address? What should, you know what, like I'm saying, so when I heard you say that, I'm like, I'm thinking that's a good idea, and then we put together a letter, like we meet rather quickly, and, you know, I mean, those are my thoughts, based on what everybody is saying.
Yeah.
You can also try to get appointments with key legislators.
Yeah, that,
and
right.
probably have to pay a visit to them to get their attention and to, seems to me if anybody has leverage, Senator Brewer would have leverage, and maybe state representatives, and
Right.
maybe someone running for the office would really want to become involved.
Right.
Right.
And get some answers. And I know in other communities, it is becoming fairly commonplace now for the state to provide mitigation money for what they call unwanted land uses. And I think it's reasonable if the town is going to have to accept more service obligations, that we need some trade-offs.
Do you think it would be possible we could even take part and parcel with maybe department heads meeting or something, to have maybe someone from the Board of Health, someone from Bud, the two chiefs, a select person there within the next 10 days, let's say, so that by the time we meet again, you can present the issues, so that it's, like you said, it's not just sending a letter. We can say, these individuals met, these are their concerns, we need information to address these concerns, and then...
Well, I will say that I was planning, you're having your department head meetings on Wednesdays, right? Well, I changed an appointment so that I could come. I would just wanted to be there anyway, and I haven't been able to, so I'm happy to volunteer at this moment in time, because I'm changing my schedule so I can come.
John?
Sure, yeah. I was appointed to the Templeton Development Reuse Committee. What is
They
the
don't
function
meet.
of that, and who's on it?
We don't know. I have a spreadsheet I tried to read that always sent to me, and I'm like, I don't know, John, maybe I can send that to you and you can figure it out.
We were instructed by the state when they came in 5 or 6 years ago. They told us how to do it. Actually, whatever, still somebody had to rank a member of that committee. But they told us, no, we won't meet you. Don't call us, we'll call you. And before we do anything up there, we're all gonna talk and we're all gonna blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? They're building away, they're shutting their place down, and they're saying, here you go. They've been meeting in Boston. This Templeton Developmental Center, reuse, whatever they want to call it, BS. It should be a BS committee.
Last Wednesday,
Yes.
last Wednesday, you already have a committee comprised of all your town department heads, basically. Emergency planning. Last Wednesday,
Right, which I was just appointed to.
Yeah.
That may be a good option and a good...
Maybe that we should use
Last
that.
Wednesday, every parking lot up there was full with cars, both sides of the road, what was going on there? The town, know what's going on? Every parking lot was full of cars last week, Wednesday, every parking lot, sides of the roads, what was going on? You know, either one of the chief of police was flying. There was more cars there when the place was running full speed. All cars all over, and nobody knows what the hell's going on.
And I think that's something that we will try to address
They were gonna
quickly.
have the meeting down in the old office. They came there, people from there, big colored town from Boston, then you can have anything you want up there in the town. Town's the first choice, where they put you out, in the back. $10,000 for an acre land even trying to use. Who wants you to maintain the
Can I just-
roads? Sad.
John?
All for that stuff.
I think that,
Charging tax for all the land they're written out, the bond and everything else.
right.
Charging tax.
I don't care who does it, but it's really important that we develop a list of
Concerns.
all the issues that we have and all of the anticipated costs,
Yep.
and put that out there to the state and say, if you're gonna walk away from this is what we need.
Right, and to do it in a timely manner before
Right.
we wait till election season is over as well.
I'm sorry, I don't know everybody who's on the emergency planning committee. Okay, so can we do that on, like, Wednesday? Could we meet on Wednesday, like, right after the department head meeting? I won't plan anything. Can we send out an email? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Well, perhaps those members that are if that was a topic that was discussed at that meeting, input could be given. Obviously, the police chief I would assume that his opinion would be the same as to cost, whether it's here in front of us or whether there. So even if one-on-one certain individuals spoke with the town administrator that were part of this, we could get the ball rolling to kind of,
Post a meeting, like, send out an email to everybody and ask, like, what's good for them to meet, like, so that we can do it quickly?
We have to post with
I don't know who the head of that department, are you the head? Okay, so, can we do that?
so perhaps if we could get a vote from the board, if anyone feels like making a motion to kind of have an informal task force that can meet, that will be comprised of the emergency department heads that are on that board, to begin the process of putting together so that a list of concerns, so that by the time we meet again, we are prepared to vote on a list of concrete set issues, anticipated costs, that then we all then feel comfortable discussing and signing off on, to send off to, and not just to one person or one department, but to call people with the letter to get it to who it needs to get to. Yes, Ms. Warren?
Just as a side note too, this was brought up at my assessors meeting last week, because the state's actually taking their barns and everything up there, and they're renting those out to private citizens now. So our issue was, these private people are going in, are they gonna get taxed? Well, it's the state's property, you don't tax it because it's state property. Now you let these private businesses in there running businesses through the town. So, I mean, the state's still making money off of their abandoned buildings. I think they're renting like 3 or 4 different buildings up there to private businesses. Yeah, to the Department of Agriculture, so it is a concern with us too.
We'll address it Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, and it's too late to post for that, for the emergency committee, but we can do it informally with department heads.
Right, and then we can also actually post the meeting too, as long as it's after Wednesday, if it's posted tomorrow. But do I have a motion along those?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
First and a second, any further discussion from the board?
What is the motion?
Oh, the motion is to, basically to request that this task force get together to meet and to put together a list of their concerns, which I'm sure that they will then funnel through the town administrator to us, so that we then have a nice solid list for our next board of selectmen meeting to go through, discuss, and then vote to send a letter, if that sums up the motion. Pretty well, I think.
Find out for us what all the cars and stuff are up there, for Monday or Wednesday, what kind of meeting is going on, the town is not notified.
You can just call, can you just call up there and like,
More cars there than the place is running, I'm telling you.
I don't-
never believe it.
That's something that we can look into. Right now, we have a motion and a second regarding this, the process of getting more information. Is there any further discussion from the board? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Okay, so our next meeting would be the 8th of September?
9th,
And it would meet,
that'd be Tuesday,
because,
Oh,
after Labor Day.
because they're closed. Should we meet next week?
Labor Day's the 1st.
Oh, right, but this place isn't available on the 8th, or the
Okay.
7th.
Well,
So
the
we-
9th is the primary.
So should we meet perhaps next week
Schedule
on a Tuesday?
well, we have to post a meeting, and then it doesn't really give us a
Not a lot
lot
of
of time.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
We could check on availability maybe for Wednesday?
All right, I just
Could we
didn't
do
know.
the Kiva?
Oh, that's another
School's
option.
open.
We could maybe look at the Kiva and the school's open now as a possible meeting location. So could we do that, Holly, maybe to look to see if the Kiva's open on the Monday, the 8th? The day, September 8th.
On the 8th.
Yeah, the Kiva.
Is the primary the 9th?
And we voted, so we're all set on that. The next item is the animal control contract, and this is a contract similar to what we had, similar in the sense that it's a regionalization contract, but instead of being with Gardner, this is with the town of Winchington. I don't know if the town administrator wanted to comment.
Well, this is certainly less expensive, but when I received this copy, there's no allowance there for the use of our vehicle.
Okay.
I
This
suggest
was-
if we're going to meet again
Town manager.
next week,
Oh, was that for? that might be
that I
what you-
need a little time. There's
Sure.
a couple of other concerns were brought up today about this that I need to discuss with the counterpart in Winchendon, because apparently there have been some issues of the treatment of some of the animals. And I want to make sure.
Yeah, oh,
I want to
no,
make sure that those issues have been resolved.
Okay.
that was with a vet.
Hmm?
Are you talking about what was in the paper for that veterinarian?
No, this is with Winchington, not Gardner.
No,
I was there.
there was an issue with a vet in Winchton. I didn't think it was with their,
Well,
did you hear something different?
I was just told today, I had not seen the article, but so I don't have a lot of
on
information
private
about that.
property.
That was on private property, not
Yeah.
town property.
Yeah.
Anything to do with the town.
The issue is that there was a violation by this individual, and the animal control people were supposed to monitor that.
Oh,
MSPCA
didn't.
has now got involved,
Okay.
and that's why you saw it on the news, and they took all the animals away, so there's, I would think that we would have some concerns because their animal control person
Okay. I didn't read
didn't
the whole
handle
article.
the original violation probably
Appropriately.
correctly, and that should be, we should look into that at
Yeah,
least,
yeah.
to see what the issue is.
Yes.
Has anybody gone and looked at the, I don't know what you want to call it, the jail for the animals, the pound? Did anybody ever go and look at the conditions that they have their animals put to stay there?
I don't know if we're quite at that stage yet. We're still,
I think you ought to.
Yeah.
I think maybe Gardner is more humane in the way they treat their animals. We may have to pay a little more, but, okay, it's the way we treat our animals, I feel, that shows what humanity is. Because if we get brutal with our animals, which I sort of know something about, and Gardner has more humane ways, okay?
thank you very much for your input.
Even though it costs more money, it's worth a few cents more to treat our little fellas and gals a little better.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I missed the part of the conversation about the MSPCA. What,
They can come
I don't know if you want to reiterate that, Mr. Spring.
Oh, the animals.
no water, no food?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they take the animals away and put them in a humane place.
At the animal control?
No,
No.
that's just, veterinarian had this hoarding thing of animals, that's what you call it today. And they were mistreated, they weren't fed properly, they were dirty in Winchester.
The issue was that this individual had problems the first time, had violations, and the animal control people were supposed to monitor that. I guess, and I don't know, I'm just assuming the PCA got involved, so I'm assuming that they involved because it wasn't done correctly, or maybe, I don't know. It didn't say in the article, and I heard anything more than that. That's more or less what has transpired.
But I'm sure that we can get more information as we're working out kind of the terms, to see if we want to move forward, to see if the terms or even make it better than Gardner, or that would be something that we would want to discuss as well. So we'll bring this back up then for reconsideration again. The next issue is my favorite, involves candy, choosing the date for trick or treating. Now, I have not lived, and I already know when Halloween is, because I'm so excited about the candy, it is a Friday. And I've only lived in Templeton for 3 years, so I am not sure what your ways are. So,
I've started buying my candy.
She's ready, she's ready.
What'd she say?
She started buying her candy already.
Oh.
So I'm not sure what your ways are, so I don't know if anyone here who's lived in Templeton longer or would like to enlighten me as to whether it's, because I know where I came from, it was always like the Thursday before Halloween, and if it was on a weekend, they didn't want to have it on a
Always done it on
weekend, so. You guys do it?
Yeah, usually
We do it right on Halloween.
police chief sets the date and the time. I think the chief calls around to other area towns so that we're somewhat coordinated. Like that-
Over the past years, we've been having it on the actual day.
It's a Friday.
Do you have any concern with that being on a weekend night?
No, I did have a concern a few years ago when we had 4 feet of snow on the sidewalk. But I would say no.
Okay.
What time do you normally do it?
5 to 7.
5 to 7?
Either 4 to 6 or 5 to 7. I think the time change is in November. Yeah. So that, usually it depends on how dark it gets, like how early it gets dark.
So, do you think, so would be okay with 5 to 7, do you think?
5 to 7.
That's historically, that's pretty
Really have to do stuff over her house. We'll be fine.
Do we know, Chief, I'm sure it's kind of early, like when other towns are doing it, because it always seems like other towns do it on different days, and then everybody flocks, to here sometimes, and it becomes a little bit crazy.
I haven't heard any other dates being released yet.
Okay.
But I know that Chief Whitaker, before he retired, he pretty much stuck to the date.
That day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just be nice if other towns are doing it on the same day and they wouldn't all congregate,
Right.
like you do it at different times, and then you end up flocked with, just, No, I don't do trick-or-treating, thank you.
One of the concerns from past years was that if you had it on a different day, then
Right.
those people from the other communities would come into your communities.
Yeah, I think-
So they tried to handle it the same.
Right, that's why I'm kind of hoping it's all on the same day. Everybody, that's really what I'm alluding to. Right.
You won't get that
Right.
influx.
Well, if the police, last year, we didn't have a single person come up our driveway of doom. But we do get one person trying to convert us once a month, but we don't get any trick-or-treaters. So I guess kids aren't willing to make the trek. But, we have the advisory opinion of the police chief to have it from 5 to 7 on Friday, October 31st. Do I have a motion to set that as the official Templeton trick-or-treat day?
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yep, I have a first and a second. Any discussion? Not Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Yes. John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Thank you very much, Chief. The next issue is to discuss the special town meeting. I know that at our last meeting, we had, I believe, requested to look into what dates might be good, I believe.
I talked to Carol Harris, and she talked to the moderator, November 5th, which I believe was a Tuesday, was good, and the school is free as well.
Is that election?
It was a
day?
Wednesday. That was the day after the election, I
Oh,
believe.
so Wednesday, November 5th?
Yeah. And that was good with everyone and the school.
And the school, too?
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to set a special town meeting for Wednesday, November 5th, to be held at the middle school auditorium?
We don't have to do it on Saturday,
That's the annual.
only annual.
What?
Are we opening and closing the warrant?
Sure.
Well, usually when we set the date, we
Open,
open
yeah.
and we pick a date to close the warrant.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we can set the date and then discuss it on the 8th.
Yeah, sure.
if, You know,
Yeah.
when to open and close the warrant.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure. So a date for the 5th?
Yeah, so I will make a motion to set the date for the special town meeting for November 5th.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Any discussion? If not, Julie?
Can-
Yes.
Sorry.
Have we confirmed that?
Yep, it's good with everyone.
Auditorium's
Yep.
available?
Yep, and Mike is
It's a
good too.
Wednesday, right?
Moderators
How about a
available.
time?
Oh, yeah, how about a time? 7 o'clock?
7
Is it 12?
o'clock, yeah.
Okay. So I have a first and a second. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well.
It's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just was checking.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next item we have on the agenda is to discuss the personnel policy. And that was an
Okay.
item that Selectwoman Haley Brooks had requested, so I will yield the floor to her.
Okay, so I finished finally, all 40-some odd pages. But I haven't, I think at this point, I have lots of notes to myself, and a lot of it is just, we now have a town administrator, not a town coordinator, but I do have some notes I would like to make, so I kind of talked to Bob today when I came in to sign some stuff. I would like to do it now in Word. I didn't really know how to, redline and all, I've never had to do that before. And then I have more questions that I would like to ask, like, do we need a personnel board anymore? And I couldn't figure out how to do that either. So I didn't want to copy all of this for all of you, so I think I'm just going to do it in Word and just give me some time. And I'll send it to Bob, and then he can disseminate it to everybody. And I don't know if we just can all review it, or we would have like a working meeting, or, however. And again, it's not a lot of stuff, a lot of the things that are in here, like the no smoking policy, there's not really going to be, I didn't notice any too much for changes to that. Those are laws and, whatever. So I did finish. I could at least I felt like a great sense of accomplishment finally. So that's really all I had on that.
Great, thank you very much. I will look forward to that. The next item that we have on the agenda is to discuss appointments.
I put this on because I had Wayne Lanier come in and apply to be on the ZBA.
Oh, great.
And I did email the chairman, but I haven't heard back from him. It was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It's not a very active committee. I talked to Kurt, and, because I always get his input, because the planning board is kind of, part of them. And I just thought we would appoint him if you guys are all for it.
I do have a question on this. Amidst all my reading between personnel policies, job descriptions, and I read somewhere, maybe I'm wrong, I might have read it wrong, but the appointments shouldn't be any longer than 3 years, and this one's for 5? Did I read something, and now I can't remember where I read it?
It's correct, what you're saying.
It's 3 years, so I don't know why we're doing, but do you know, Will, where I would have read that? I've read a ton of stuff in the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, I was like, why are we doing 5 years for the zoning board, and now it's coming up? So I thought the maximum was 3.
I think you're right for most cases. Like, most of the appointments run until June 30th, but like animal control, veteran service agents have a different time span.
So theirs would be
Okay?
longer?
So I really do think ZBA is 5 years, and I'm not sure why I think that.
Okay.
But you're right, it's worth looking into,
All right,
because.
so I'm going to have to figure out where I had read that, and if we're going to do 5 for, then we need to change whatever it was I read somewhere to like a longer term, because it's conflicting.
This may even be a state statute because they deal with administrative kind of judicial review.
Or, yeah, I don't know where I read it, I'm sorry. I just remember reading something.
So even if there's a conflicting bylaw, obviously if there's a state law that directs it, then that takes precedent, but we can definitely look into that. So do we want to hold off on this for?
I'm not saying hold off because we held off before.
Well, I meant because Holly was waiting to hear, or should, does it not?
No, I think we need to get somebody on
On
there.
there, yeah, okay.
Even if we do it for less than 5 years. it's up to
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint Wayne Lanier to the Zoning Board of Appeals for 3 years, ending June 30th, 2017. How's that?
Okay.
Is there a second? Second, I have a first and a second, any discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Yes. John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So thank you very much. Thank you to him as well, Mr. Lanier, for your service. The next item that we had on the agenda was to vote to go into executive session, but I'm just going to flip-flop the order of the last 2 items, just because I don't know how many people will come back after that, because that is our last official item on the agenda. So I was going to do selectmen comments first while we still had a quasi-captive audience. If anybody had anything that they would like to, Julie, is there anything that you'd like to discuss or add on to it next agenda?
That the Historical Society, the Narragansett Historical Society, is having their meeting on Wednesday at 7 at the Historical Society.
Wednesday at 7 at the Historical Society. Doug, did you have anything?
Nothing particular, no. I mean, the craft fair was an outstanding event, as it usually is. The ice challenge was a blast, and
I was out of town, sorry, I missed it. John, was there anything that you'd like to?
Well, I think that Julie and Doug would agree that you really missed a valuable life experience. I wanted to say, also, I want to congratulate Bethany and the citizens, the Friends of the Citizens of the Elders, or whatever it is, Doug and Diana. The appraisal night was wonderful. It was a big crowd, everybody had a great time. I'm sure you raised a lot of money.
yeah, it was a very successful event, yeah.
Yes, Kate.
I'd just like to say that the gentleman, when you came in for the appraisal night, for the $15, everyone got a little button that was hand-painted with flowers or flana or whatever it might be. And the gentleman that undertook, the local artist who undertook that activities in support of the COA is here tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Diane, did you have anything that you wanted to?
I went to the town hall today, and I must say, even though it looks like a lot of dirt being moved around, the back parking lot looked really nice, and things are coming along, and it's nice to, the selectmen have moved their office to Bob and Holly to the front of it. Everything just looks really nice, and it's great to see all the improvements.
Some people on Facebook asked me what was going on back there, and at first I thought about like joking, like, oh, we're putting in a pool, but then I was like, oh my gosh, it'll get out, and then there'll be recall votes and everything else, putting a pool in. So it's not a pool, it's the accessibility ramp. Yes, Ms. Moore.
Just a question, I know Diane brought it up, and we in our department head meeting had brought it up too, it till next time, but it's kind of, we just want to know what's going to happen when we're going to.
Can we make sure that that's on the next agenda?
I was supposed to put it on.
Sorry.
I forgot to put it on. I was just thinking about that.
So we'll put it on for the 8th. then.
8th, Luann, for the 8th?
8th, yeah. Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to mention the advisory board, I believe, sent the Board of Selectmen a letter with several
Yes, you did.
questions on it.
Yep.
And I haven't noticed it on the agenda, and mentioning the agenda, perhaps it would be a good idea to put that on the agenda.
Yes, I spoke with another member of your ranks who also reminded me to do that as well. So I actually thought this meeting was going to be a little rougher than it was, so, but it will definitely be on our next one for discussion for the 8th. And I guess it will be up to your board then to decide whether or not you want to do that as a joint meeting so that your board can all.
We meet this Wednesday, so.
Perfect.
We can bring that up.
Okay, perfect.
What was that? I didn't hear it. What was it about?
Oh, it may have come directly to me. Maybe I'll forward it on. It was the advisory board just had some questions about some things looking forward. And,
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
yeah.
What the chairman said was that when he sent it to the selectmen's at Templeton.org, for some reason, it didn't get to all the selectmen.
Oh, okay.
And it didn't go to all the selectmen. So what he did is he ended up turning it around. He had your email and he sent it to you.
Gotcha, okay.
And he thought you would disseminate it.
I get nervous about disseminating anything because, but I can send it to Bob and you can disseminate it to the rest of the board just so that everyone is aware of.
Can I just make a note?
Yeah, sure.
There is no select man at templeton1.org. Everyone keeps sending email to that. It hasn't been an email for a year.
Is it,
Board of Selectmen.
what is, I'm sorry?
Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen.
Well, wait a minute, maybe that's just on,
No, that's just a Gmail one.
okay.
It's individual emails.
Right, okay.
They all use their own emails, and you can do it through the website.
Which is probably how it came to me.
He was advised of that.
Okay.
When he did talk to me.
Yeah, so I'll forward that then tomorrow morning then to Holly and Bob, so you guys have that. Yes, Chief?
Yeah, just like to take a minute to recognize the firefighters, EMTs, and volunteers that made the open house at the fire station successful during the craft fair. We had a firehouse with flames that the little kids knocked down, and everyone seemed to have a great time. We just wanted to recognize them.
I'd like to
Thank you very much.
for the beautiful job we did on Pleasant Street the other day. It should be highly recommended, a whole bunch of them. That place was good loss after village. You did a hell of a job, and nobody gives you credit, says a thing about it. Then they came, they worked hard, roof fell off the roof, they went back there, they didn't pull no goddamn injuries and stuff, they went back and worked, they got knocked off the roof. Not like a lot of the phonies they got in the village. They did a hell of a job. Put in the paper, that little girl there.
She's
No.
not a little girl. But,
A whole bunch of them. She did a whole bunch of it. A hell of a job.
Thank you.
Give her full of flags.
Thank you very much. If there's nothing else? Okay, at this point, at this time, we will take a vote as to whether or not to go into executive session, and as part of that, deciding whether or not the board will return to open session after the executive session has adjourned to adjourn the meeting at large. Per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21.3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, an executive session of the board is appropriate. I am the chair, and I declare that I believe that we should go into executive session under that statute to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. Do I have a motion to do so? And then, as part of that motion, will we be reconvening following the end of the executive session?
I move that we go into executive session and reconvene into open to adjourn, but no other business to be discussed in open session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So thank you. At this time, we're going to clear the hall. And we will be reconvening, but no further, for the motion and vote, no further business will be discussed other than adjournment. Thank